Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have an update on the Charlie Kirk assassin, Tyler Robinson. It has now been revealed he was living with his transgender partner. And this has been confirmed by a number of sources. Breaking: Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson lived with transgender partner who was a male transitioning to a female, and the partner is now speaking to the FBI. And so this is a huge development because we know, well, you go back a few days, the left was celebrating. They were very happy. There's just too many to count. You could put together like a 24-hour compilation of all the different celebrations, people, full humans with their faces, not just bots. Because now they're saying, well, it's all Chinese bots. They're trying to sow division. Yeah, that could be anonymous accounts on X, but when you've got massive compilations of these normal middle-class liberals celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, we know this is a significant amount of their party. They celebrated it. Then, because they want no accountability, they said, oh, you know what? And this was really like yesterday, late afternoon. They tried, once it became known that it was Tyler Robinson, and they said, oh, he's a straight white male, which evidently that's not true. They said, oh, he was a groiper, because in terms of the political spectrum, Fuentes and the groipers did not like Charlie Kirk because he wasn't radical or right-wing enough in terms of Kirk's immigration stance, specifically his stance on Israel, among other things. And so they said, well, it doesn't make sense for us to blame this on MAGA because MAGA is still aligned with Charlie Kirk, although I guess there's some nuance in terms of that because people say Charlie Kirk was starting to turn on Israel. We're not going to get into that right now because this is the bigger picture thing. When you look at it, they were saying, we can't do that. We can't blame it specifically on MAGA, but let's blame it on a more radical fraction of the right wing. So let's blame it on the groipers. It makes no sense when you look at the evidence. And you talk to some of these liberals, you say, okay, where is the evidence? There is none. It's a complete psyop. It's total slop. They're trying to muddle the water by saying, oh, he was a groiper, because that's the only thing that would make sense to us, because why would a Trump supporter kill Charlie Kirk? But of course, if you look at what his own family said and what he said, their testimonies at the dinner table, they said that Robinson, who was the shooter, said that Charlie Kirk was too hateful, which is certainly not something a groiper would say. In fact, it'd be the opposite. They said he needed to go further right wing. That's why they didn't like him. And then you've got the shell casings, which read as liberal Reddit lingo slop. You had the saying, I mean, you can see, and it wasn't just this that got revealed. You have this here. This was the slogan that was used on one of the casings. It's being used all over these liberal. I mean, actually, it's not even liberal. This is communist like discords. That's where this gets used. So this is not even liberal. It's leftist. So that's why he's a leftist, not even further than a liberal. And so this was a likely communist, some type of leftist pipeline on Discord and Reddit. So it's radical leftism that very likely caused this. And also, when you talk about a significant amount of this with him with an LGBT, affiliated trans partner, Charlie Kirk was obviously against that. That was a heavy influence as well. So this is like a smorgasbord when it comes to all of the stuff that Charlie Kirk was warning about. And it comes true, does it not? I mean, we see the result of this radicalness on the left, and then they try and blame it on radicalness on the right when there's no evidence. It's a complete psyop. They're just trying to muddle the waters. Just the same thing with Crooks when it got revealed that he was obviously left-wing, and he's just like this antisocial, like 110-pound liberal kid, and you'd see the Gab messages and everything. He's arguing like just typical Reddit talking points back in 2021, just pure slop, and they still try and say he's a Republican. And they try and, so it's funny because they celebrate these things, like they celebrate Trump getting shot out, they celebrate Kirk getting assassinated, and they say, oh, but it was a Republican who did it. So let's celebrate it after the fact, because it's a two-pronged thing. This is just how insane their party is, and it's from the idea that these people think if you say the wrong thing, you should be killed. That's what they believe. These are normal middle-class people. These are teachers. These are healthcare workers. These are, in some cases, doctors we've seen. I mean, you name it. They're normal people. This is not like this craziness. Now, this kid was very likely with the trans girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and then also with the commie discords, if this is true. I know Discord came out and refuted it, or TMZ reported that they refuted it. We're gonna have to get the full story. People, they do this thing where they immediately react like, oh, because of this report, this is not true, or this is true. You've got to wait and let everything come out. And this is just another development in the story that we didn't know yesterday. And if this ends up being true, and it's been said that according to multiple sources, he was living with a transgender partner who's now cooperating with the FBI, it's obviously a major development and a huge, huge catalyst for why this happened, considering Kirk's stance when it came to trans people. And so it all kind of comes together. The commie Reddit Discord pipeline with the trans partner. And this is kind of the result that we're seeing play out here in an extreme form. But they do preach extremism on these boards in the left-wing sense. Remember, Biden, Kamala, all of them, they say right-wing extremism is the most dangerous thing. And then you get something like this. You've got Trump a year ago, and now Kirk. These are the two most prominent figures on the right getting shot at. And then they do a whataboutism with like a congressperson. What about, so the two most prominent figures on the right get shot at, one of them gets killed. What about the most prominent figures on the left? Do we do anything to them? Absolutely not. Our party does not believe that. The radicals in our party do not believe that. And so you see the clear and obvious difference and the pathetic whataboutism with some congressperson that died by may or may not have been a conservative that killed, but it was like she voted against abortion. So maybe it's just like, it's absurd to even compare those two things. They have to. That's how desperate they are. And then on top of that, they celebrate Kirk dying and then say, okay, and it wasn't all of them that celebrated Kirk dying. But I mean, at this point, we do have to say, I mean, like with the whole, let me just say, just put this in context. I was looking up things on Charlie Kirk when it came to his passing. You can't go 5 posts without seeing a liberal gloating about it. And some of this is Republicans now with networks and with huge accounts to be able to call this out. And a lot of these people are facing repercussions for them gloating about Kirk dying. Because honestly, it is, I mean, that is pretty scary to think about when you think about Kirk's message and I guess how that's been misconstrued within them. And think about why those people are thinking that, because they've been told by someone that Charlie Kirk is so bad. Now, maybe they've been misled in terms of what Charlie Kirk's done, because I don't know what he's done, or obviously he hasn't, the point is they think Charlie Kirk saying bad things equates him being killed, and that's acceptable. It's justified because he said bad things. That is what a lot of normal, middle-class, liberal Americans believe. That's where that party is right now. And I'm not saying it's all of them. We're not going to do this whole thing, but it is a significant amount. And a lot of them show their faces while saying it. This is not like, oh, it's bot farms. I mean, sure, you do have tweets, and I've seen a lot of them. And if you don't believe this, there are tweets that are mocking Kirk's death, especially right after, when it was raw, like 2 or 3 hours after, that have 500,000 likes. And you could say, well, it's Chinese bot farms trying to spew division within the United States, and they want there to be a crazy reaction, and they want the parties to hate each other. And maybe with the likes, it's some of that. Maybe some of it is bot likes. But with the amount of people that have come out with their faces, in some cases on Facebook, their names are plastered on their profiles. These are not even anonymous accounts that you don't even have to do anything to find who these people are. They're right there. They're saying it. So it is a significant amount. And you can see this pipeline. It's Reddit, it's Discord, it's this commie leftist, it's the trans partner. And this is all being reported right now. We'll see what else comes out. But how about the disingenuous? How about Ben Shapiro going on Bill Maher, and Bill Maher acting like a 13-year-old girl, saying that, oh, we don't know, the internet's always wrong, we'll see, because they want to muddle the waters. No. There's nothing, oh, maybe he's this, maybe he's that, maybe. No. He's a liberal, he's a leftist. This is a leftist who did this. And as long as what's being reported is correct, a leftist living with a trans partner. That is who did this. You're not going to muddy it. You're not going to say he might have been a groiper. You're not going to say, well, the internet doesn't. We'll see. No. None of that. His own family said that at dinner tables, he said Charlie Kirk was too hateful. On one of the shell casings, "Hey fascist, catch," obviously as a mockery of Kirk, saying you're a fascist and you deserve this bullet because you're fascist. Clear leftist liberal lingo. This is not a maybe this, maybe that. This is clear cut, and they try and muddy the waters when you would think they would embrace this person because half of their party on the internet, I don't even have to over embellish. We can show you compilations of hours of these people celebrating because half of their party is happy Kirk is dead. So why wouldn't you embrace this person as a leftist if you're celebrating so much? Because they don't want the accountability. And so this will keep happening as long as they continue with this rhetoric. And you can see there's other things. Oh, Elon Musk and his AI. Charlie Kirk fatally shot by fellow conservative at Utah University event. You know that headline is made by AI. And they take tweets and they compile them into an algorithm, and that's how they spew out a headline like that. Really? Seriously? The liberals are gonna, I mean, that's how much they've been tweeting about this and muddying the waters on who this person was. From everything we know, he was part of a conservative family, but he himself was very clearly a leftist. Obviously now it seems unrefutable, considering the fact that he lived with a transgender partner who apparently is now cooperating with the police. And so that's the most recent update, and they're trying to do this thing, and the reason they are blaming groypers is because they think, well, because the groypers didn't like Charlie Kirk, we can pin it on them. However, if you decide to use one iota of nuance in terms of the details of this story based off of what was on the shell casings, based off of what the family said about their son and other classmates said about Tyler Robinson, it is abundantly clear. It's not close. It's not a question. This was a leftist. Liberal leftist. Leftist is further left. Whatever, whatever's the terminology you want, but I think it would be classified as a leftist. And so I don't know why they don't want to take accountability for it. They want to muddy it or muddle the waters. And I guess that's just what it is. But I just want people to understand the recent stuff that's coming out. It looks like this is very clearly it's a clear-cut leftist and living with a transgender partner. That's just the icing on the cake when it comes to who this person was and their political affiliation. And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch more stuff that comes out. I'm sure the FBI will reveal stuff when it comes to his online activity, whatever that was or wasn't. And this is developing, but it is important people understand why they're trying to pin it on groypers. It's an effort to kind of skirt accountability, just like they did with Crooks. They're like, well, all these Republican people getting shot, but it's the Republicans causing it. The Republicans. And that's the thing with Trump. Like, no matter what happens with any of these things, they're just going to blame Trump, and they're going to blame his rhetoric no matter what he does. I mean, that's just the reality. I think Trump has to almost kind of embrace that and understand it, and Trump needs to go full force because it doesn't matter. They're just going to blame him no matter what happens. Trump's right. And look, we can go through the whole thing about the reports now that Kirk told Trump not to strike Iran, Israel, and their donors were not happy, and they threatened Kirk, and we can do that, but it's like, let's just see what's coming out right now. And Trump and Kirk, Trump said Kirk was a son to him, and they had a great relationship, and Kirk was a huge driving factor in terms of Trump winning. Kirk cried right after it was announced that Trump won. I mean, that was less than a year ago. That was less than a year ago. And so here it is right here. But guys, we'll see what happens in terms of the updates, but that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you like the video down below. Thank you for watching.